Hi, this is Bishop Doherty from the Diocese of Lafayette-in-Indiana. With this little snippet, I'm going to address the question, what is the purpose or significance of the May crowning? And before I offer any kind of theology or explanation, I would ask you to think about the May crownings you might have been part of as a child or that you might have witnessed in your parish. Each of them is different. In the place where I grew up, the 8th grade girl would be selected to do the crowning. We'd have a procession and a mass at our parish church. Over time, parishes took different ways of selecting who was going to crown Mary. And sometimes there was a vote, sometimes a nun picked a particular girl. In more modern times, I've heard of boys being selected to do this crowning as well. So it takes on a different flavor in many places. The reason it has many different forms is because it is not officially a liturgy of the church, but it is quite a display of devotion that you will find coming out of, in the 20th century anyway, certainly coming out of Poland and Mexico and Vietnam, as well as Africa, and certainly here in the United States. So each of us may have a precious memory or a funny memory of that May crowning, but it was always a big deal. It was always a special event to honor the Mother of God, which, by the way, is an official title for Mary. Again, let me hold up the New Catholic Encyclopedia, 2nd edition. There was a 1968 edition, but there was a lot of reflection and theology done about Mary, and I'm sure her section in this encyclopedia grew. So I could recommend this for historical reading, either about the liturgies, the devotions, her titles, the artwork that depicts Mary and how that has developed over time. But back to the significance of the May crowning. In one way, it promotes a knowledge of Christ as we situate him in a family context, in a historic context, that Christ had a human mother who was part of the story of salvation. Grace worked in her in a very special way. And so the whole month of May and this procession gives us a moment to think about how that grace affected her. Also, some of the affection for Mary comes because she was a favorite to pray to during time of war. Mothers would pray to Mary for their sons and daughters who were off in a war theater somewhere. Also, the May crowning and all Marian processions took off during the 20th century for a very interesting reason. Again, because there were so many wars, there had to be a lot of praying going on. There was the prayer for the conversion of Russia. Many of you will recall that. But an interesting thing about the proliferation of these pilgrimages is they followed the advance of technology. As air travel set in, as rail travel increased, as affordable transportation became available, these pilgrimages and processions took on a grander scale and even an international one. So the significance of the May crowning, to go back to that simple point, is that Mary plays a huge role in our salvation history, in our spirituality and our prayer. And as one writer said, I thought very interestingly, and this is a woman theologian, she said there are many types of theology about Mary, but Mary appeals to everybody across culture, class, gender, theological difference. Asking for her prayers is an abiding and deeply rooted characteristic of the whole Catholic community. So all of us come toward Mary, or our feeling or our thought about her in a different way, but we all come to Mary at some point in our Catholic devotion and in our prayer. God bless you.